In this video, I will be talking about conventional and sumo deadlift. The first part will be about the technique for conventional and sumo, and the second part will be about the differences between conventional and sumo. Now, for the conventional deadlift, when you are trying to find your foot placement, I want to use a tip that I learned from Josh Bryant. He's a very well-known strength coach and coach in the powerlifting community. He recommends trying to do a death drop. You normally use a box or a bench or something to step up on, and you'll drop off, land to a power position like you're going to rebound and jet back up. Where you land will be roughly where your feet needs to be width-wise for setting up for the conventional stance of the deadlift. Now, once you get your feet width, you can adjust it as you need it to make corrections to what goes a little bit better for you. But for general population, where you would land, that position transfers directly over. There's a small handful of people that will need adjustments, but that's why there's coaches for that. Now, once you get your feet width, as you're coming into the bar, you want to think about when you look at the bar, you want to use it to cut your feet in half. That'll be generally about how far you need to come into the bar. You don't want to come up to it and bang it with your shins, because once you get down and get ready to pull it, you're going to be pushing the bar away from you. No sense in that. Get your feet halved, and then once they're halved, then we can move on to the different grips. So there's mixed grip that you can do. You can do your hands whichever way you want to, whatever feels natural for you. And then we have double overhand with hook grip. Now, I'll go through how to do the hook grip for the conventional deadlift, how to set it up and get it locked in, because it is a little bit different and harder than just reaching down with a mixed grip. It's literally, you would get arms long, either way, double overhand, mixed grip. With the mixed grip, when you go down to grab, you want the hand that's going to be out. You want it to be about a pinky width out, because if you're trying to force that in, that's not going to feel too well on either your bicep once you get to a decent amount of weight, or it will, let me try to exaggerate this a little bit. You may tend to kind of lean more to one side if you have that about pinky width out, then it's a little bit more even. Now, when you are setting up for this, you get your feet, and then you want to think about pulling yourself into the bar. Arms long, you get your grip, arms long. You want to think about getting your hip through. It's almost like a wedge. As you're pushing with your feet, you're trying to pull with your upper back, with your upper body, almost. It is push and pull. See, I get my hands set, I engage my lats, I'm pulling this slack out of the bar. Now, when we say pull the slack out of the bar, there's not enough weight on this bar for you to try to pull the slack out. So I don't know if you can hear it on the microphone, but I'll try to exaggerate a little bit more. But the clang noise, if you hear that clang, once you're pulling yourself into the bar, you know you pull the slack out of the bar. You want to keep your whole entire body tight. Now, a common default a lot of people will have is either their hips may be a little too high. Generally, if you're pulling yourself into the bar correctly, your hips will kind of go where they need to go. But a lot of people, from my experience, have a problem about once they go to initialize the pull and pull off the ground, their upper back, they'll let their upper back round too much. Now, one of the things that I like to try to tell them, that I've, from my experiences, when they are doing the pull and they want the round, they're letting the bar get away from them, is one of the faults. Now, to correct that, from it getting away from you, you want to try to keep those lats pulled in tight. Kind of almost like how we were doing, we were talking about the cleans in class. How you want to have your back active. Almost same thing. But a little bit of rounding is okay as long as there is tension the whole time. From lats, proper bracing. If it stays like that and doesn't move, it's okay. Now, the tip that I'm talking about to try to keep that bar to you, you want to think about protecting your armpits. Now, if you're going to do the deadlift, you set up for it, reach down, you get your lats locked in as you're getting the slack out of the bar. You want to pull yourself in, and you're pulled in, and you want to think about protecting those armpits. If someone comes behind you to try to tickle you in your armpit, if you're keeping the bar up against you the whole time, rubbing your shins and everything, then no one can get to that armpit to tickle you. I know it sounds funny, but I would try to do a side view of it, lifting the bar, but it's very windy outside right now, and it's been messing with the microphone. So you get set up, grab it, you do the dead strict, engage those lats, pull the slack out of the bar, pull yourself in, slide up against those shins, proper conventional deadlift. Your head. Now, when you're doing this, you want to look 45-degree angle down. Normally, for me, it's a little bit easier because I always have my jack hand in front of me most of the time, so I look at the tip of it. But you want to look whole time. 45-degree angle. Got the hard time, whole entire lift. Get it up. You want to make sure that chin's tucked while you're here. Looking at that angle. Now, coming back around for the hook grip, since I talked about engaging those lats a little bit, to kind of help me kind of segue into this. Once you get your feet set up and everything, you want to think whenever you go to set up for the hook grip this also applies to sumo too for setting up the hook grip, so I won't go over hook grip again when we go talk about sumo. Now, for the hook grip, when you go to set up for it, when you're putting your hand on the bar, the web part of your hand, you'll want the bar to mash into it. You're going to mash it in there. So I don't know if you can see it too good. We'll do this side. You want long arms, mash it in, kind of. It's okay to rotate in because this is going to play into what I want to show you what you need to do. So once you get the web of your finger in, kind of get that thumb underneath, get ready to set the hook grip. Get your two fingers over your thumb, and then you want to rotate your arms. That'll help set it in and kind of you can pull it a little bit, whatever makes it feel good for you, kind of jiggle the bar. But when you go to rotate your hands in to help set that hook grip in, you want to think about taking that bar and like you're going to bend it around your shins. That's how you want to think about rotating those hands in. For most people that do hook grip that way on deadlift, they don't have to worry too much about lat engagement because doing that motion already is the same thing with bench. Because when you think about bending the bar on bench to get your chest to it, it's the same thing almost, but you're literally, you get it set in, rotate, as you're wedging in, and it's set, and you're good. 45-degree angle, your head. Can't stress that enough. Because wherever your head is, that's where your body typically wants to go. So you don't want to be looking too far down, so that upper back's going to round too much. Now, so we talk about that for sumo. I know for the first half of the class group, y'all kind of heard me talk about how to do the sumo for setting up your feet stance. Now, this is how I like to teach people how to do sumo. If you're setting up, maybe this might be too much in the light, but if you are setting up for sumo, think about it like this. Come at it like you're about to do conventional. Get your feet set like you're going to do conventional, and then we're going to start setting up for sumo from here. And then once you do it repetition, you don't have to set up the conventional part. It just kind of becomes natural, knowing where you need to put your feet for sumo. Now, you will want to reach out when you're setting up for sumo. You want to think about your shins being the sides of a house. Whenever you're setting up for this, you want to think about your shins being the side of a house. Your femur, your thighs, you want that to be the roof of the house. This way. So, that's where it needs to be. And how I was talking about on the conventional stance about wedging in, pulling yourself into the bar. Now, I haven't did sumo in a long time, so hip mobility may not allow me to kind of pull myself into like I need to. So my technique may not be the best, but long arms, once you get your feet where they need to be, house analogy, you're going to reach down, set those lats, hands, pull yourself into the bar. Now, I'm not trying to be gross, but for guys, think about genital to bar. Sorry. It helps for a lot of guys. So, try to hump into the bar, you get it there to your shins. Now, with the sumo, when you're setting up for this, you need to look forward instead of 45 once you start. You want to look forward because you don't want to. It's a balance act. You don't want to lose balance, fall forward, because that wouldn't be good. Now, once you get in, you want to look forward, pull, and stay looking forward. But chin tuck as you're coming up, kind of does it naturally. Now, some people, if they have a hard time once they get to about here, and they're still wanting to be leaning over too much. Now, to help correct that, generally, they would, once they get it, they do this, throw their head back. Now, that's only viable for a small handful of people, as long as their balance is good on sumo, to do that. Typically, you need to make sure sumo, head straight, as you're coming up, go and check that 10, or tuck that chin. Conventional, 45-degree angle, chin tuck, as you come up. Now, that's been me talking about conventional sumo deadlift. For the last part of this video, we're going to cover the differences between conventional and sumo deadlift. One of the first things I want to touch on is the time to a lockout / range of motion. So for the conventional deadlift, the range of motion is going to be greater than sumo. And of course, since the range of motion is greater than sumo, there's going to be more time to lock out for the conventional deadlift. Now, for the trunk angles, sumo is going to have a more vertical trunk angle. It's going to be about a 5 to 10 degree difference between sumo and conventional for the trunk angle. Now, for conventional, it's going to have a greater energy expenditure because of that greater range of motion. It's going to be about 25 to 40% greater energy expenditure. Now, both stances have different emphasis on body parts. So for sumo, it's going to target mainly the hip extensor, knee extensor, and ankle dorsiflexor. For conventional, it's going to target the hip extensor, knee extensor, knee flexor, and ankle plantar flexor. Sumo is generally going to be the more technical lift. It has more setup involved, and like I mentioned in the other part, it's almost like a balance act. Generally, your more elite lifter, since they have more technical prowess with the lifts, they'll do better with trying to do the sumo, perform the sumo. But that just means it's going to take longer to get the technique down for sumo than conventional. Conventional will be way easier to learn the technique and get it down quicker. Now, the last part I want to touch on will be the sticking points for conventional and sumo. Now, for conventional deadlift, the general sticking points will be about an inch right above the knee or almost right at lockout. The bar may be a couple inches below the hip crease. That'll be the general spots where people will struggle for sticking points for conventional deadlift. Now, for sumo, for general population, their sticking point will be literally either budging it off the ground or it'll get it off the ground and it'll be a few inches off the ground and they'll be stuck there. That's the general sticking point for people for doing sumo. And that's all I have for this video today, covering conventional and sumo deadlift.